Welcome to the orchard at Hill Top Cottage. Behind the cottage and the barn, I discovered 4 apple trees and 1 crabapple tree. Like this one here, these 2 are actually planted right next to the barn. They're a little close together and they need a little bit of love, but they're apple trees and that's always been my dream, and they're here. I have always wanted an apple orchard of my own, so when I discovered these apple trees behind Hill Top Cottage, it was almost as if I manifested them into being. It feels so whimsical and magical, and I'm really looking forward to reviving these trees. They have apple scab caused by a fungus, and it's going to be a little bit of work to revive them, but I feel it's so worth it. Autumn came to Hill Top Cottage after weeks and weeks of waiting for the leaves to change. It was this golden ray over the hills, and it was just absolutely beautiful. We had those cozy rainy days and then these beautiful vibrant days in between. Follow me down these hills behind the cottage to the first apple tree, this one here, the red tree, and then down to another field where we'll find the green apple trees. Green apple trees I found behind the barn, and they're beautiful, but as you can see, let me pick one of these apples for you. Oh man. I think they were at one point golden delicious. They have apple scab. You can see there's a fungus all over them, so I've been researching. Ooh, this one has a big hole. Some worms have definitely gotten a hold of these apples. So I've been reading up on how to fix the fungus. It's caused from too much rain. Let me show you my research. So I have this book on apples from my local library, and it tells you a little bit about the apple scab in here as well. And then I have this book on pruning. So those have been very helpful. And I have this beautiful old book on organic orcharding. I ordered it last fall, or maybe it was 2 falls. Yeah, it was like 2 years ago now. I've had this book, and it's helped me so much learn about apple trees and having my own orchard the organic way. And so one of the things I learned from all this was that to get rid of the fungus, it's caused from too much dampness, too much rain, sometimes not enough sun. So if you prune the branches, it can let more sunlight in as well to prevent the fungus, but also I need to spray an organic fungicide to protect the apples. And another thing I need to do is I need to collect the fallen apples from the ground. As you can see, there's actually a lot of apples in this tree. I don't think I'm going to collect them all, and to be honest, a lot of the animals eat them anyway, but I am going to go around and collect the ones I see, put them in a pile so I can remove later, so that the bacteria of the fungus doesn't spread over the winter. So that's what I know. I'm not an expert, but I've been learning a lot. When I visited Orchard House in Massachusetts, Louisa May Alcott's home the other week, I met the orchardist John, who works in the gardens. He is the one that planted the orchard and takes care of it. He gave me some wonderful tips on pruning. I don't have the pruning shears right now, so I'm not going to do that. I'm probably going to prune, to be honest, in the winter. But yeah, I'm going to collect some apples. So you could see the paths where the animals actually come in. Ooh, birds. Oh no, I'm covered. All right, I'm gonna drop these off and pull the picture. I'm always so cautious down here because of the bear. We've nicknamed him Bubba. He's a really big black bear. They're usually very active during dawn and dusk, but it is autumn, so they are harvesting and eating up and fattening up for the winter. So you could see some trails where they have definitely been. I think it was Bubba the bear. Definitely some deer have been in here laying in with the apples. So that's why I'm not getting rid of the apples right now. I'm just putting them in a pile. And hopefully animals will eat them. This is where sheep come in handy. Goats are good too for orchards, but they'll eat the trees, climb the trees, break the trees. So sheep are a better option because their manure has more nitrogen in it. So it's good for the apple trees, and they don't destroy the trees when they eat all the apples and clear out the fungus. So I'm learning a lot. So over here, this apple tree, if you can see it, it is dormant. It's also an apple tree. I'm not sure if it's a green or a red, but there are absolutely 0 apples on it. And I don't see any on the ground either, so I think with a little bit of pruning, it could come back. So Matthew thinks it might be a little bit of a waste of time reviving these apple trees. I disagree. Yes, we're renters. We don't own these trees. We don't own the land, but it takes about 10 years for an apple tree to start bearing fruit. These ones are already here. They already have tons of apples. They're all over this tree. And so if I revive it, get rid of the fungus, do a little pruning, we could have an amazing harvest next fall. And we do intend to be here for a little while, so hopefully a few years. And year after year, we'll be able to harvest these apples. So I don't ever think reviving an apple orchard or apple trees is a waste of time. There's that saying that the best time to plant an apple tree or an apple orchard was a decade ago. These ones have been planting probably about 30 years ago, I think. But there's so many apples on this tree, and if I could revive them, oh man, it would be amazing. I'm learning so much. I'm not a farmer, but I love nature. And oh, apple trees are amazing. This is like the biggest blessing. here, I wanted to share one of my favorite authors with you. She's a Connecticut author named Gladys Tabor. This is one of her first Still Meadow books. Gladys actually grew up in the same town I did, which is Southbury, Connecticut, and she wrote about her home in the country. She was from New York City before she lived in Connecticut, and she bought a little farmhouse as a weekend home. And what I love about her is that she wrote just these charming, simple living, cottagecore-esque type of stories before cottagecore was a thing. She would be the queen of cottagecore, maybe even like the grandmother of cottagecore if she were here today. And I absolutely adore her books. It always amazes me when people recognize her because I know she's not very well known. Gladys is a huge inspiration to me, and I wanted to share her. You might actually have already known of her without realizing it if you've ever seen the movie, the 1940s film, A Christmas in Connecticut. Sorry, big truck. Yeah. You might already know of Gladys Tabor if you've ever seen the Christmas movie A Christmas in Connecticut. It's a 1940s film starring Barbara Stanwyck, one of my favorite actresses. She's hilarious in the film. It's one of my favorite all-time Christmas movies, and it's based on Gladys Tabor, kind of a true story. Oh, I mean, the plot is not true, but the person is. She was living in New York City at the time with her weekend home in Connecticut, and she wrote in a lot of like Better Housekeeping magazines, like a woman's home column. So she was very famous for this column, and then she started creating her books. And Still Meadow is the name of her house in Connecticut, her farmhouse, where she also raised Cocker Spaniels. She talks about recipes and the seasons. She's very much a seasonal woman, living in the seasons. And I very much, I feel like we would have been friends. I feel like we're very similar people. And so this is the first book, the Book of Still Meadow by Gladys Tabor, and there are the cutest little illustrations at the beginning of each chapter. Let me see if I can find November for you. Here we go. And so her books are just really delightful. I highly recommend them. She wrote, I think, at least 35 books in her career, besides her women's column, all the way up until I think the late 1960s. And so yeah, she is the woman that inspires a lot of how I write my blog and how I live my life, you know, because she's definitely someone who appreciates the little things and knows how to live lovely. Sunset is the most magical time at Hill Top Cottage. I just love to stand and watch the sun go over the hills. I soak up the last rays of the sun and the warmth of the sunshine on my face. Standing here as the sun goes down, I'm full of so much gratitude in my heart. Thank you for visiting Hill Top Cottage. Be kind to yourself, and I hope to see you again very soon.
Let me clear every path, my dear, we will steer you through the ozonosphere. Way up high, where the rain